Hey, hello Bio 2. It's Mr. B and we're continuing on with Chapter 24. We're actually going to wrap up Chapter 24 with this video today. So we're going to jump right into it. So we're going to look at what is plant propagation. So we're just going to jump right into what the title of this section was. So in plant propagation, horticulturalists use cuttings, grafting, or budding to make many identical copies of a plant or to produce offspring from seedless plants. So what we talked about yesterday with vegetative reproduction, that was what kind of happens in the wild with plant propagation. So this section focusing on more on how plants, I'm sorry, not how plants, but how humans kind of control the spreading of plants. So a horticulturist is just someone that studies and works with plants. And plants are very important because, again, with all the food and medicines and things like that, it's going to be necessary for them to make, it's going to be necessary for us to make identical copies of beneficial plants. So it's done in three ways, using cuttings, grafting, or budding. So in cuttings, this is one of the simplest ways to reproduce plants vegetatively, is by cuttings. And this was our grower cuts a plant stem that includes buds containing meristematic tissue. So if we remember meristematic tissue, remember this is our undifferentiated tissue, or tissue that doesn't yet have a function. And so if we cut that away, we're going to then bury it in soil or in a special rooting mixture. And then these plants are sometimes treated with rooting powders to help them grow. And so this meristematic tissue, going back to this, is important because it's undeveloped yet, so it can turn into any type of tissue that it likes, or that it needs to, basically. So it can turn into all three of our necessary types of tissue, and it will develop a new plant when you cut it away. And some terms here: the cut piece is called the scion, and the plant to which it is attached is called the stalk. So when we have our bud that we cut away, that's going to be the scion, and then the plant that we took it from is called the stalk. Just some random terms why they came up with these, no one really knows. And then when stems are used as our scions, the process is called grafting. So when the stem is the part that we cut away, it's going to be called grafting. And when our buds are used as scions, the process is called budding. So that's pretty simple. So when we have a bud that's cut away and used to grow a new plant, it's called budding. And when we have a stem that uses our new thing that we cut away, it is called grafting. And so now we're going to talk just a little bit about agriculture. We all know what agriculture is around here. It's pretty much the staple around here. But when we define it in our textbook, they take it as the systematic cultivation of plants. And basically what that means is growing plants in a kind of a set, controlled way that you planned out. And if you know anything about farming, it's not simply just going out and throwing some seeds and hoping they grow. There's a lot that goes into it, especially around here with all the sandy soil and everything. And so which crops are a major food supply for humans? I think we should be able to maybe name some of these off the top of our head, but we're gonna give our main crops here that the most of the world depends on are wheat, rice, and corn, and that's a bulk of the food supply. And roughly 80% of our U.S. cropland is used to grow wheat, corn. We also grow soybeans and hay. And if you remember, the wheat and the corn apply to us probably, I would say, but the rice is mainly over in Asia. There's huge populations of people over there, and they really depend on rice. And so some changes in agriculture over the years. The efficiency of agriculture has been improved through improvements in farming techniques. So now we have irrigation systems that help us keep our plants watered when we don't have rain. We have fertilizers, we have pesticides, we have fungicides, we have a variety of different things. We have better equipment to help us kind of plant the seeds, and we have everything now almost to kind of improve our techniques. And then also an important thing is the selective breeding of crop plants. That means that we choose which plants that we want to breed, which ones will pass on certain traits, and that's kind of what our next bullet point there says. That selective breeding allows only organisms with certain traits to produce the next generation. Again, we only use the tall plants because we only want tall corn or something like that. So that's what selective breeding is. And improvements in farming techniques have contributed to dramatic improvements in crop yields, so we're able to produce more from the land that we have, and that's important because a lot of our farmland has kind of been is being converted into shopping malls and things like that. So we need to get as much out of what we have as we can. And some of the most important techniques have been the use of pesticides and fertilizers, which I already mentioned, and which, again, we should all know living in this area. So that is it for Chapter 24. Let me know if you have any questions.